Welcome to this short presentation of Athlyts. On the left side you see the Athlete app, on the right side you see the Coach app. Both apps of course are compatible with multiple devices, but for this demo I have chosen an iPhone for the Athlete app and an iPad for the Coach app. Also the apps are available in multiple languages, but for this presentation today I'm sticking to English. I will go through the common use cases of an athlete, as well as the coach, and also how the two apps interact with each other. In the morning as an athlete, Cindy in this case, you are asked how rested you feel. I feel fit. I went to bed 11:15, got up 7:30, and I woke up during the night once. Now you also see right away how these apps interact. On the right side, second row, you have Cindy with the big battery, which will turn green in a second. That indicates the rest level in the morning. And as a coach, if I wonder, I get some more details like the sleep duration. There are much more details on the coach app as well about the athletes, but we'll go into that a bit later. On the athlete app, there are other things the app can remind you about every day, every week, every month, or not at all, like weight. For Cindy, it is asked now weekly. I enter 58 kilograms. And of course, the data is added to my list of data entries, but also to different visualizations we will have a look at in a second as well. Imagine now I did a morning session of volleyball in Cindy's case. If I'm connected with a watch, it will propose it automatically. Otherwise, I can add it manually. From 9 to 10, I felt fit. We asked for the intensity. This morning it was somewhat intense. For the perceived performance, which was very satisfying. And also we promote reflecting on your training actively. In the case of volleyball, for example, volleyball techniques, tactics, physical aspects, and mental aspects, where we already provide some inspiration. For example, the serve this morning, probably there was something which was particularly good or not good, or that helped me, like doing my regular ritual as an example, exactly without an H, and other aspects that you can think of after the training, reflect on it, and also let the coach know, if you share that data, what you have reflected on. Very important is to record the pain or also just uncomfort that you've experienced throughout the practice. So let's say your right knee, you just felt it mildly, still important because over a month you may see that the pain is increasing or starts to be chronic. You can attach a file like a video, will not do that now. I added this training, and on the coach end, again, you will see on the right side a bar that pops up, which indicates the intensity with the color and the height with the load. So the load is a typical multiplication between the duration in minutes and the perceived intensity. So I see that Cindy today had a practice that was somewhat intense, a volleyball practice of 1 hour, and again we'll go into more details in a bit. On Cindy's side now, I'll just go briefly about over some of the major visualizations of data or also lists, so you get a feeling of what the athlete also sees, because for us it's essential that the athlete is managing in the end themselves with the apps as well. So we want to provide them with everything that is valuable to better understand themselves, but also have the right discussions with the coaching team or the medical team. Of course, you see a list of just everything you entered, from training activity to rest or vitals, but also you have some extraction, for example, of your reflections and comments on your performance. So thoughts from the past, which you can also pin on top if you want to be aware of them, for example, for the next training or the next competition. We have visualization on a timeline, as we call it, sleep, intensity, satisfaction, your menstrual cycle with the different phases. If you're like Cindy, a woman that also wants to track the cycle in combination with intensity and training planning, we have the acute chronic workload ratio and other things which you can also adjust the way you need it in order to gain the overview that you're comfortable with. And that, of course, over different time periods, so you can look much further back into your past, but also just track the week or the current month. There is a feature we call reporting, which summarizes your month in a way that really lets you have discussion with your coaching team, for example, about the distribution of your time and load across the different activities, all the recovery measures that you have explored or that are part of your recovery habits, but also, for example, going deeper into your sleep and understanding if there are probably more chronic sleeping issues or more regular sleeping issues which really are worth tackling, like having troubles during your nights with falling asleep, waking up, or getting up in the morning. Also, how long your nights are on average on given weekdays, as well as, of course, your pain of all the body parts throughout the month and the intensity of it, which gives a quick overview when, for example, you're also consulting your team doctor and want some advice that you can access for also previous month and then see how whatever dimension changes throughout the month. On the coach end, I will jump now back so we mix it a bit. You have the same views across all athletes that we just now had a look at, like the journal, which is just everything your athletes entered. And quickly you see, for example, the trainings that were entered yesterday or today, competitions or whatever else you're interested in. And you also got the reports, the monthly reports for January, for December, where you can look at them in different ways. And I would suggest you just explore the settings. And as I mentioned several times, you can go into more details for athletes. And you see right away that the two views have a lot of things in common. So whatever the athlete decides to share, and that's an important point we'll look at in a second, is shared with the coach in a very similar manner as also the athlete can see it. So any discussion, and we believe these discussions are invaluable based on data that both parties see the same ways, understand probably in a similar way, or can also ask each other what they extract from it in terms of information, and then decide what it means for the plan ahead, for the training, and so forth. On the athlete side, I will quickly open the cycle tracking feature just to give you a sneak preview of what there is as well for female athletes to track their cycle, understand whether it's regular, and some common things which are important also when you decide to adjust your training based on your cycle. On the athlete side, one thing I now mentioned several times is sharing data with your coach. And that's a key aspect of athletes, that the data is owned by the athlete and the athlete can decide whoever should be able to access that data in a granular manner. So it's split into the different categories, logical categories like, for example, the daily schedule and load. So do you want to share that? Thoughts and reflections, body pain, sleep, but then also the other categories you may track. And it is easily possible that you share all of them with your head coach or your coach of trust, or you decide to share some specifically medical information or cycle tracking information only with specific people in your staff. Now let's head over to the coach and just go into one or two more features. As I already mentioned, you have an overview over your athletes. You can quickly switch through your athletes here. You can do the same thing if you're, for example, on the timeline view, looking at, let's say, the intensity on top, and you want to compare it to other athletes. how they have done it. Probably they're in the same team. You can also group your teams or categories of players into labels very flexibly, so you can easily decide just to look at some of them and compare or all of them. Now, there's also a feature we call feedback or messaging. So let's start with the training of today that Cindy added. I can get more details here. If I open the journal entry, I can see or download files if there are any. I can also send messages. Let's say, great job today, which is obviously more a motivational message, but I can also ask something. How was the second hour, where probably the coach wasn't there anymore and there was an athletic coach. And on Cindy's side, I will receive those messages and obviously can easily reply to them. Great as well. I'm not too creative now to keep it quick. And those are essential for motivation. That's one thing we really figured out, especially if you're a coach having a lot of athletes in your team and you're not able to talk to them one by one each day. That's one other channel how you can still reach out, leave a quick feedback or motivational message. That's it for this quick demo. Of course, there are some more specific things you can do with the apps, but there I just invite you to try out and reach out to the team behind Athlyts if you have any questions. And I wish you a great day, great trainings, and hopefully we see you again on Athlyts and in some of the future videos.